All right. Once again, welcome. It is 11 o'clock. Let's dive right in to respect everyone's time and spend a productive hour together. So my name is Mariesha Wiggett. I am part of the AREP team. I'm responsible for the organization's operations. And I'm looking forward to spending this hour with you. So you'll see we have a very basic agenda. We're just quickly going to discuss some of the member statistics. We like keeping you updated on that. And then I'll share a brief information about the P4 program actually today. And then we're going to have a very interesting discussion about solar PV maintenance. We've asked Trevor Tappan, who is also the vice chairman of the board of AREP, to discuss this with us. Trevor is an experienced practitioner amongst other things and other accolades. So I'm looking forward to him guiding us through that discussion. So let's take a look at the membership statistic. AREP has been growing steadily since its inception, actually, but the past few years has been good. It has been good to note that the industry has been taking up membership with the organization. We are standing at 4,928 members. So we're very, very close to the 5,000 mark, and we're excited about that. I don't like to exaggerate when I communicate things. So when when people ask me how many members we have to say something like 4,900 or 4,600 exactly. And I'm looking forward to be able to say we have 5,000 members. It's just going to make it a lot easier for me to communicate that to other people. So if you want to spread the word amongst your peers, please do that and encourage people to become part of the organization. All right, as company memberships go, we have 154 companies that has committed to membership with AREP. This is important because your company being connected with AREP gives you exposure on the website, first of all. It also gives you a certificate that says that you have, as a company, committed to our code of conduct and to our, our constitution. And that gives a certain level of confidence when you speak to your clients. So other than the exposure that you get, the confidence that you create when you are engaging with your clients, there are a few other benefits, and Anne would be happy to talk to you about it. We have dropped the price of the company membership for the month of April to enable more companies to get this accreditation for their businesses. So if you want to take advantage of that, please speak to Anne about it afterwards. Founding membership has additional benefits attached to it, and it's also a bit of a bigger commitment to the association. We usually ask the founding members to, in some way or form, also get involved in some of our steering committees. We ask these guys questions regularly. We send out surveys. So if you want to become a founding member, that would also be wonderful. We would be happy to welcome you. And then lastly, the P4 tests written in 2025. There has been 175 tests written this year. To be honest, it has been a little bit slow, which has been concerning for us. We have seen that a lot of the people who had their P4 level 1s in the past have not been renewing their accreditations. And that we find very concerning, but because we feel that it is really prudent to keep up your knowledge base and to keep your accreditation in place. So because of that, we have actually decided to spend a little bit of time just explaining the P4 program again and why it is assurance program. I'm sure that most of you in the room is familiar with it, but please bear with me as I just cover the basics for anyone who is perhaps not. So all of this information is on the AREP website as well. It's www.arep.online. It's very simple to find, but I'm going to just talk you through the basics of the program. So first of all, the program tests are updated regularly. So we do have a steering committee that is focused on the P4 tests. Last year, we did spend quite a lot of the meetings, most of our engagements actually looking at the tests and considering the questions and having the group update some of the questions. We will be doing that again this year. Probably starting from next month, at the beginning of the year, it's been a little bit slow to get all of our ducks in a row with new developments at the association. But we will be starting to update the tests again, probably from next month. So every time you write the test, you are not writing the same test. You are writing a different one. And you are probably learning a few things or remember a few things that you have already forgotten because of your amazing career and your dedication to your profession. So it is always a good idea to increase your knowledge base, or just to wake up all of those dormant information pieces that you have gathered over all of the years, and just do that in the form of an accreditation. So that's the first thing. It's increasing your knowledge base if you do choose to renew your P4 accreditation. Then secondly, one of the obvious benefits is that industry trust and credibility is born from having your P4 accreditation in place. So we have spent a lot of time over the past few years to engage with financiers, insurers, and different stakeholders in the industry to get them to acknowledge the P4 accreditation. And we have reached the place where that is the case with the majority of insurance brokers, and financiers. So we have close relationships with most of the major banks, and all of these guys engage with us regularly, and we reach out to them if any of our members let us know that they're having problems getting finance because of, say, an accreditation issue or something like that. So if you have your P4 accreditation in place, it automatically enables you to go into these conversations with a little bit more credibility. And then thirdly, we wanted to lift out that if you have your P4 accreditation and you explain that to your potential clients, it really is a wonderful sales and marketing tool. And obviously you get your certificate as well. But to be able to say to these guys who are potentially your clients, or who you want to have a long-term client relationship with, that you are P4 accredited, you take the time and the energy to get your accreditation in place, it goes a long way in having these guys make the decision in your favor. And then one of the other great things, part of the P4 program, is there are different levels. I'll show you just now. I made a slide for it. So if and when you reach the P4 level 2 level, you are added to the association's directory. And this directory we actively share with the public, and they can use it to find accredited solar PV installers in their area. So the directory is searchable. You can search it by company name, by person name. You can also search it by area or district. So if someone in Cape Town or Johannesburg or Alberton wants to get a solar PV practitioner that they can trust, then they can use this directory to find them. And if you are P4 level 2 accredited, then you are listed on this platform. The sales accreditation and the level 1 practitioners are not yet listed. We require P4 level 2 in order to list you on this directory. P4 level 2 is a lot more of an encumbrant test. It tests a lot of different things, where the P4 level 1 is a little bit more basic in the accreditation. So that's a good reason to get your P4 level 2 accreditation in place. And then lastly, it is an income opportunity. Once you reach P4 level 3, it is a peer review mechanism that enables practitioners to earn additional income. So how the program works is everyone that is P4 level 3 accredited becomes viable to be asked to go and assess other P4 level 3 candidates' installations. So it is still a very small program. I think we have in total 6 P4 level 3 accredited practitioners. We've only recently launched it. It's very new, and we really want to grow the program and get people to engage with it and uptake it in the industry. So it has the benefit of having you be able to earn additional income, but also it gives you an opportunity to engage with your peers. So when you go out as a P4 level 3 accredited practitioner to another person's site and you go and do the assessment, it is an opportunity to engage with each other. It's not an opportunity to necessarily lord your expertise over each other, but it's an opportunity to learn and experience how other people choose to do things, see why they've used this size cabling instead of that. So there's a lot of benefit in just having conversations with your peers. all of us have different experiences. We have different routes of how we got to where we are today. And this makes up for different approaches in how we do our jobs. So we really think it's a wonderful way for the entire industry to just start having conversations, technical conversations, safety conversations, improvement conversations. And on top of that, you get paid to go do the assessment. So there really is no downside to this program. The assessment is also it's fairly straightforward. We give you the AREP hybrid test report. And I'm sure if you're not familiar with the hybrid test report, please have a look at our website or maybe pop a question in the chat box and we can share the hybrid test report directly there. Maybe, Anne, maybe you should do that anyway. Could you just share the PDF as well as the link to the hybrid test report on the website if anyone does not have access to it yet? So the hybrid test report was created by AREP. Carl was one of the main brain behind establishing the report. It tests everything that is important to test on a solar PV system. You can give this report to your clients as well. It's freely accessible. You can download it. You can ask us. We can send you a copy. You can print it. You can even put your own logo on that test report. It's a good thing to use. Whether you're part of the P4 program or not, it's always a good thing to use that test report just to check the work that has been done. But back to the program. So we ask you to just fill out the hybrid test report based for this assessment that you're doing on this candidate's installation. And if the candidate passes the test report 100%, then they get their accreditation. It's going to take 2 hours of your time, and we're going to pay you the majority of the fee that we ask someone to get accredited goes to the practitioner that does the assessment. So yeah, as I said, no downside in getting your P4 level 3 accreditation. All right, so those are some of the benefits of the program. As you can see, there's been a lot of work that's gone into it. We really believe in it, and we think it's a good thing for the industry to just keep its accreditation up to date, to commit itself to upholding standards. This is just to give you an idea of the scope of the program. So the program has 4 levels. It has the skills development level, which is basically, it's called the sales accreditation. Why it is called the sales accreditation is because if you have people in your company that are not necessarily technical, they are administrative, but they do engage with clients, it is always a good idea to just give them some form of technical background because you are obviously, as you well know, in the technical field. So the sales accreditation is a simpler it's broken down into simpler understandable principles for all of your administrative and sales staff. It's a really good idea to just get your team to do the test and grow their knowledge base so that when they have conversations with clients, they don't need to phone the technical guy all the time, that they can appear informed and knowledgeable, and your organization as a result will have a better reputation. So the sales accreditation is valid for 12 months. It's 550 Rand to get that done. And with all of our theoretical tests or the tests that are written online, you get the opportunity to log in, to look at the questions, and then go do research. It's an open book test. So there's no specific material that we're going to ask you to study. You study by looking at the question and then researching the answer or having a conversation in your office. It could be a whole collaborative thing where the office is having conversations about technical questions and everyone is having a learning experience. So in a world where we're all pressed for time and, time is money, there's never an opportune moment to do things like this until the pawpaw hits the fan, right? So we would encourage you to just do the hard things, set the appointment in your calendar and get your accreditation, get your staff accredited. Don't let this opportunity or this reminder just pass you by. It's important to commit to doing quality work. Financiers, with insurers, every step of the way, it is a positive thing. All right, obviously you can see on the screen that the other 3 levels, level 1, 2, and 3, you can see their validation times. Just a note, if you have done your level 1 and you want to move on to level 2, it is actually cheaper or more affordable to move on to your level 2 as quickly as possible and then just keep that updated. It's going to be, as you can see, it's valid for 36 months, which is 3 years. So that amount divided by 3 years is a lot less than having to pay 1,000 Rand a year to keep updating your level 1 accreditation. So that's just the note. If you are concerned about cash flow, moving to level 2 is a good idea. And then level 3 obviously enables you to earn some additional income instead of just paying for your accreditation. All right, so that's enough about the program. I hope I have awoken some form of a passion within you to get yourself accredited, to get your team accredited, and to do your really important work to the best of your ability. I am going to give over to Trevor. Trevor, I've posted his LinkedIn profile over here. If you want to connect with him on LinkedIn, I'm sure he'd be open to that. But he's going to talk us through solar PV maintenance and establishing a maintenance service level agreement with your clients. Trevor, over to you.
Good day to everybody. Thank you very much, Mariesha and team. And yes, today we're just going to chat about the maintenance part of the solar systems. And I would like, obviously, there will be a chance afterwards for some questions if there would be any. Now, basically, because of the industry we've got from domestic to commercial, industrial, and plants, and each of these would be specific to the maintenance that you need to apply to the system. So in overall, I'm going to just speak of the basic stuff of it. And if one have to look at the site where the inverter and the battery is involved, yes, then there are things that we can look at when we do the site maintenance or site survey maintenance. And then the most important thing I would say on the battery and the inverter is to regularly check for loose connections. Now, if I say regularly, it could differ from site to site, but usually by the change of winter and summer, by the change of that, then you can check for loose connections. So that would be twice a year, more or less. And then most of these inverters would accumulate dust, and dust in electricity is almost like water and electricity that should not be mixed. So if one could regularly look at the environment, I was just this morning at a house where there was no ceiling in the garage and the dust is packing up steeply on the inverters. So it would also again depend if the room is a nice and clean room with a ceiling intact, then obviously you do that less. But if there's no ceiling, then you will do it more often. It's important when you do the inverter maintenance to check if the settings are still intact. In the past, we have found some installers that checked, and then especially on cheaper type of inverters, the settings tend to get lost sometimes after maybe when the batteries ran down and the inverter switched off. So it's always good just to, while you're there, have a reflection of what the settings are. Are they still as per the test report of the COC, or have they been changed? Somebody might have been there after you and they thought it might be better to change them. Just confirm that on every maintenance visit to the site. Check your battery voltages. See if you can, if it's a lithium battery with a screen and you can log in and you can see all the cells, you can just take note of the cells. Is there any cell that is not performing as well as the peers? And then on the load, determine to see if you can, if the load is still what the client asked for in the beginning, if that load differs, if they have maybe more load coming in, maybe they've got more people living there, or whatever the case may be, just check if the load is still the same and if the inverter is not running at full capacity at most of the time. And then look for hotspots on it. If you have a tester that can do the infrared, then you can just look at the inverter and the dBs next to it for any hotspots. And then we get to the panels. So on the panels, there might be a little bit more intense maintenance on them. Again, you can, if you have the infrared meter, you can check for hotspots on the meter. If you have a degradation tester, you can do degradation tests every year at the same time to see what the panels, how they are degrading. And you can make note of that and keep records of it. You can keep records of all the maintenance that you are doing so that you can see if there's a trend. Then on that, always look for rodents or birds making nests or coming into the system. You can look at the cable route between the panels and the inverter if that cables are still intact, or they still, if it was installed in Bosalt pipe or whatever, is all the connections still connected, or did they come loose? If it was single insulated cables and they might have been in PVC pipe, check if somebody didn't step on the pipes and they are broken. So that can be fixed. We can then also, when you look at if something's been put onto a roof to block birds and rodents and stuff to keep them out, make sure that it didn't interfere with any ventilation to the panels. So make sure that the panels are still good ventilated. And then look at the brackets. If the brackets are still intact, if they need to be torqued again, with the wind and the temperature changes, it could be that some of the nuts come loose. So just check on that. And then obviously cleaning. The cleaning is a big part of it. If you have a lot of dust or bird droppings on the panels, then you have to clean them. Now, this would differ also from area to area. If you're in an area where there's a lot of dust and civil construction work, new buildings coming up, then obviously you're going to have to do the panel cleaning more often. If it's in an area that is built up and there's not much of that happening, then obviously there would be less dust. But then again, check maybe your neighbor is doing pigeon flights and stuff, and he's got his pigeons next to you. Just check your panels for bird droppings. That's quite important to keep the system running effectively. And yeah, then we can do different types. You can do preventative maintenance by installing materials between the roof and the panels, so that to prevent the birds from coming in. And yeah, that's more or less my story for today. I was hoping, let's see if we can have some questions. I see there is some questions in the box. I just want to make sure I don't miss any.
Trevor, I see. So first of all, Vita has just asked that we make something available, but I'll connect with you afterwards. I'll use a combination of your talk as well as checking in with you, and then we can compile a document just to share it with everyone in the room about all the maintenance points that you've just mentioned. And then Salim has asked a few questions. Do you see those? Maybe you can address them. The first is, how can remote monitoring be integrated into service agreements to improve efficiency?
Yes, Salim, very good question. Thank you for that. Obviously, yes, if the client wants a service level agreement with you, that's important to put it in. They could also choose it or not choose it to be part of it. And then obviously you'll work out a rate for them to say, we can monitor it. And how are you going to monitor it? Are you going to have people there sitting watching screens day and night, or are you going to log in on intervals every 12 hours, every 24 hours? How would you be doing that? And then according to that, obviously you can give them the option to choose how they can do it. But it's important to put it in a contract and tell them that this is how you will do it. Obviously, then you'll just have to do it. It's not money from home, because if something goes wrong, you will have to be on site or fix it over the internet ASAP. I hope that answers you. Otherwise, you can follow up with another question. The next one I see is, Trevor, could you share the SLA pricing structure model for various services? I'm sure. So the pricing module, a good rule of thumb could be something like 1% of the cost, but that would be on bigger sites, not on your domestic. On domestic, it will be a little bit different, because obviously you're gonna some people have got 4 panels on their roof, and I mean, if you want to clean 4 panels, it becomes expensive to clean only 4 panels, whereas you're going to a site, a 100 kilowatt site with 200 panels. What are the best practices for documenting the system condition before entering a maintenance agreement? Yes, obviously, if you've built the site, you are sure that all the paperwork is done, so you know exactly which brand panels are used, the inverter and the batteries. You know that there are all the certificate of compliances for structural, fire, and electrical is in place. And when that is all in place, then you can put in on your documentation. Obviously, if anybody else interferes with this stuff and they get somebody, a friend to come by to change of some of the settings, then obviously that would be not good for your documentation. Yes, so best practice, I think from AREP side, Carl and the guys did work on a document, SLA agreement. It's not completed yet, so I'm sure once it's completed, it will be for the members. I'm not sure if the members will have to buy it or they can get it for free, but obviously we'll have a look at that. And then what is the difference between the P4 level 4 course and the PV green card? Yeah, I think one of you guys will answer that one later. Then will Trevor provide a list of his maintenance points? I'm sure it is captured, yes, and this recording as well. It can be shared afterwards. And that is all the questions for now.
Okay,
Can
great.
you answer the one about the P4 level 4 and the PV green card, please?
Yes, we'll do that. Just to answer the question about the document, the maintenance document, we will definitely make it available to all of the members at no cost. It's quite a lengthy document, so we just want to make sure that we get everything right and all of our recommendations right. And then we will share it. We'll probably load it onto the AREP library. If you didn't know, AREP does have a library with different documents, different policy documents, everything that you could, if you are looking for something, the AREP library is a good place to start. But we'll load it on there and we'll share it to all of the members via email as well. Okay, and then the difference between the P4 and the PV green card. So I've heard Carl explain it as it's the same difference as between a Mercedes-Benz and a BMW. So both of them are informal solar industry accreditations. So neither of them are enforced by any kind of law or government. The industry has adopted these accreditations of its own accord. For instance, this is by like the financial institutions and the insurers that I've mentioned. Through them adopting this requirement of their clients, it has grown into an informal accreditation that is widely accepted by the South African industry as a whole. So the PV Green Card is hosted by an association called SAPVIA. That is also a nonprofit solar industry association. And their accreditation form is called the PV Green Card. AREP is also a solar industry association. And our version of the PV Green Card is the P4 program. The program itself is completely different. The way that the PV Green Card is structured differs a lot from how the AREP program is structured. Naturally, because we are AREP and we created this, we would feel that the PV Green Card is a good option. And we would always recommend the PV Green Card. So there was a document that was compiled to show you the comparison between the different programs, like what is tested, how is it tested, is there a practical element, etc. So I will just now look for that report and I will post it in this chat box just to give you an idea. One of the other major differences is also the price. So the PV Green Card is a lot more expensive than the P4 accreditation. The reason for that is that AREP from the moment that the organization started, the idea was to serve the industry and to make quality assurance accessible. So we typically serve the SMME sector of the market. So we're not so, especially in terms of the engagements that we have, that the conversations we have, we're not as engaged on a regulatory level or with the major players in the market doing all of these very important things. We are the association that represents the man on the ground, the practitioner that goes to residential homes, to commercial sites, to industrial sites, just doing their thing, making sure that they deliver the best work possible. So we are there to support the normal everyday Joe, man on the ground, doing his best to ensure that the solar PV industry meets certain quality standards. So I hope that gives you a bit of an idea of the difference. I'll find that document just now and post it. And then let's see, I see there's two more questions. What is your recommendation method of cleaning and detergent used, Trevor?
Yes. So recommended, I don't like to put any detergents on it, but there are some good products, I believe, from people in the industry that you can use. I like to use non-conductive water with a soft cloth. Obviously, you wet the panels, and then after the panels are wet, wipe it with a soft cloth, and then rinse it afterwards. That's one part of the panel that you can clean like that. It's always recommended maybe to do it early morning or late afternoon when the sun is not high or there's not a lot of clouds in the air for the edge of the cloud conditions and all of that. So yes, it's early morning, late afternoon, and with distilled water would be a good option that I recommend.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And then the next question, if you are a PV Green Card holder, jumped. Is it necessary to register for the P4 accreditation? Melissa, is it necessary? I wouldn't say that it's definitely not compulsory. It's really up to you what you want to do. The P4 program tests a lot of technical knowledge, and it does give you a lot of exposure to things that we believe you need to know. So is it necessary in terms of a quality assurance if you want to make sure that you know everything that we feel you should know when you are walking onto a site and doing installations? Yes, then I think it is necessary. But there is nothing obviously that would compel you to do both. And also when you're having engagements with your clients, I guess it would be a preference for you which certification you would want to share with them. I don't think there's any harm in having both and making sure that you know everything there is to know about the industry that you work in. So I've answered that question. Let's look at the next one. The hybrid test report is good foundation for testing. We always had our own test report. However, we did amend the test report so it looks and feels as the AREP report for ease of use. We use this report as a final sign-off and handover, i.e. less paperwork. That's great to hear, Jock. That's wonderful. If I see that Anne did post the hybrid test report link in the chat, so you can just scroll up. It's about the 4th message from the top if you want to just have a look at that. And it's obviously,
Yes.
as I mentioned, free to use. Sorry, yes, Trevor.
Yeah, so just on that, JP, if I may add, just so that I hope I misunderstand your writing there, but you can't just use it as a final sign off. Obviously, if I hope that we understand each other correctly. So with that report will then be handed with the COC that is issued, together with all the other documentation that is required. So it won't just be the report, yeah. And currently, yes, you can use your report with all the minimums that is required. But I believe very soon I heard that there will be a test report from the chief inspector that will be published. Then obviously you got to use that one. I hope that one is just as thorough as the one from AREP, but we'll have a look at it. Thanks.
Thank you for clarifying that part, Trevor. All right. Are there any other questions in terms of maintenance, in terms of how to how to structure your contracts with your clients, or any other business questions you might have, maybe for any comments that you have? Sven, let's see. What is the benefit of using distilled water on a solar panel surface? Are the connectors taken into account here then? Non-conductive if there is water ingress?
Yes, so the distilled water is non-conductive water. So if there's any cracks or anything in the panel, obviously then no electricity can run through it. I also see somebody had a hand on just now. Hand
Yes.
raised.
If you have a question, go ahead and post it in the box. I don't think we're going to do... Well, let's see. Let's see if we can unmute here. I did.
There's another question there. Does the DC cable have to be separate from the AC cable? Yes, as per the standard 6110 in SANS 10142, AC and DC cables shall not be in the same duct.
Okay. Great. So okay. I did manage to get the unmute button going. So you're welcome to ask a question.
Okay. Good day, everyone. Well, from what my name is Lamulo, Lamulo Kanyangi from Ingwe Technologies. We do ICT infrastructure and clean energy infrastructure development. I'm very curious. You did say you represent, AREP does represent the average man on the ground, the contractors, the installers. I've been interested in the idea of localization, meaning that we'll be able to manufacture most of our components here locally. So given one gets into that space, manufactures certain energy components locally, is it possible to partner up with AREP to create a program where technicians and also SMEs here could be able to be trained to install and maintain that specific equipment and become a certified supplier of that equipment, creating credibility for locally manufactured equipment, but also creating a channel where hopefully other local manufacturers can come in. I believe it's a conversation that is overdue as a country, where we need to start creating capabilities of actually creating a value chain locally, from manufacturing all up to supplying, because there we can actually become innovators. I see a lot of questions here, and the questions there can actually prompt to creating new technologies. It's just a question around that. Are we ever going to be discussing that type of conversation of localization? Thank you.
Lamolo, I think it's a good question. I think it is something that we should probably discuss off of the platform first, if that's something that you are interested in. I think in principle, AREP is always open to conversations, especially with our members. So why don't you reach out and then we can set up a conversation. In terms of driving local manufacturing, that is not inside of AREP's mandate. That's not something that the organization was created to pursue. But we can always have a conversation. And if there is a viable project that we could get behind and support, then I don't see why we wouldn't do that. So thank you so much for raising that question.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Great. All right, let me just find where the last question was. So we answered the DC cable question. Then there's a question, is there a short course for preparation to do the P4 test? So there is no official course for you to be able to write the P4 test. However, the AREP has, I think it is 6 recommended training partners that we encourage practitioners to go to if they are looking for training. Trevor is actually he has one of the training institutions that we trust and we send our members to regularly. So if you do want to do training, you can reach out to Trevor, for instance, or you can have a look at our website on the P4 page. Right at the bottom, all of the training institutions that we recommend and that we feel covers everything you need to know is listed there. But again, the P4 test is structured in such a way that you are able to log into the test, you can read the questions, and then you go away and you go study. You log out, which stops your time, you go study, you go find the answer, you go have conversations, and then you come back and you give your answer, and then you go on to the next question. So it's an open book test. The idea is not to have you parrot everything that you've just memorized out of a book or out of a course. It's to really to be able to understand what you need to do. It's practically minded. So we think it's a great way to be able to encourage learning and self-learning or lifelong learning. So I hope that makes that a bit clearer. And then we have another question from Manny that says, do the DC cables go in PVC or metal conduit?
Yes, Manny, and on that one, if you look at the 603.647.712 SANS code, it says that, and I just want to make this clear, it depends on the conditions of the municipality or the supplier where you install. If their bylaws says that you have to use whatever, then you have to use that, because the SANS 603.6.4 speaks about minimum requirements. So the minimum requirements would be if you have single insulated PV cable, then it will have to be in PVC, where your positive is in the one pipe and the negative is in a separate pipe. Just remember that your earthing must run all the way between these two. So basically, in fact, what you are doing in this situation, you are actually making your single insulated cable a double insulated cable. Then if you already have double insulated cable, then that code says that you have to put both positive and negative if you do it and then it must be in a metal conduit or metal trunking. I see that the next question is similar. Must we have installed PV cables in galvanized conduit or galvanized trunking at residential or commercial? Yes. So the code doesn't really distinguish between residential and commercial. It just says there is the options that you have, unless obviously the bylaws state something different, then you have to comply with the bylaws. Is it advisable to conduct insulation resistance test during maintenance? So Devesh, on a site that is running, it's not necessary to do insulation resistance test. Obviously, if you do it, then you have to disconnect everything. So you don't have to do it. It could be a good thing if you have the time and you can switch off the site for the client, bypass it. It's always good to do insulation resistance, because that's, if the insulation is not good anymore, that's where the problem could start. Then we've got guarantee a yield for the year or 3. I think this changes the game. A great way to secure a contract, but risk involved, especially for the small companies, if yield is not met. Yes, Dean. That would also then be part of your contract if you do the installation, to do that in your SLA. It's good, could be good for your business if you can actually give that type of support. How do you deal with non-compliant installations when you arrive at a site to do maintenance? Ian, yeah, that would be most of the sites. If you get to a site that's not compliant, the first thing to ask is if there was a COC supplied to the site. If there was a COC supplied to the site, you could then advise the owner to make a copy of that COC, scan it, and email it to the technical department of the ECA, Electrical Contractors Association, and tell them what the non-compliances are. They will then interact with the person that signed the COC, and 99 out of 100 times that person will go back and then fix it. If he doesn't go back to fix it, then the ECA will hand him over to Department of Labor or one of the AIAs, and the AIA will then, who has the authority to take back that person's license, or to fine him, or to put him in prison. But then it's out of our hands. Yeah. But if you get to a site that is not, that does not have a COC, a valid COC, then it will become a civil case. So it's very expensive. The best way to do it then is maybe just give a quotation to make it compliant. Make sure it is compliant, and as per the OSH Act, you must give a COC when you're done. So then you take the risk of the site once you've given the COC. Just a quick one. Must we install PV cables in galvanized conduit or galvanized trunk? Oh, I've read that one. Sorry. Where are we now?
You are just below Ian. I think it's at 1140.
Okay.
Tamanga.
Tamaga.
Yeah.
Is it advisable to bond the system earthing with the utility earth? Oh, Tamaga, you like me to start a fight here? So first of all, there's 2 groups, and I believe there's probably some of both groups on this meeting. So I just want to make it clear. So one of the groups will tell you you should never do it, and that comes from the engineering type of person. The other person would be a lightning type of person, and they will tell you you must most definitely, all your earths must be one. So then, to cover yourself, we refer back to the current code, SHANS 10142, which stipulates, I think, 7 times that you have to bond your earthing with the utility earth. Even on the test report that was retracted from SHANS 10142-1-2, that was retracted when it was set out, the test report in that document, one of the questions that they ask is your earth and the utility earth bonded? And if you say no, then obviously then the report is not non-compliant. So the short answer is yes for now. That's what the code says. You'll have to bond your earths all together. What support is available for the installer in Ghana? I'm sure AREP is not national, they're international. So maybe you can answer that for us.
Sure. So we are international. You can access the tests from anywhere in the world. We do comply with all of the IEC standards as well. So there's nothing keeping your installer from getting his accreditation or getting access to that knowledge, if that answers your question. In terms of additional support, I don't really know, but at least from AREP's side, we do have a lot of international members as well, and we do engage with them from time to time. And he's welcome to contact us if there's any questions or if there's something specific that we could help with.
Yes, Tony, you can always just send an email to one of us and then we can assist where we can. Then relax, I think it's Daryl. So armored cable also works right instead of steel trunking conduit. Yes, that's one of the options in the 60364 code. You may use steel trunking, armored cable as well.
I'll take the next one, Trevor. It's about So Johnny asked, with regards to SSEGs, when will we have the fourth session with Eskom, seeing that they didn't pitch for the fourth session? I also hear that there is a court case going to be made that it is illegal. Any updates? All right. So not to bash Eskom, we did have a conversation and we asked them to the only way that we're going to schedule the fourth session is if they can give us a concrete definition of what constitutes a grid-tied system for them, because there's been some discrepancy. They've given us contradictory answers. From the session 2 to session 3, that answer changed. And when we did question them about it, they themselves were not able to give us a formal Eskom definition. So why this is important is defining what constitutes a grid-tied system would then obviously define which systems need to be registered according to them. So until we can get that answer, we are not going to schedule a next session, because that is a very fundamental thing that we need to know before we can help them educate the market on what needs to happen. And yes, I did see the article about the court case. We haven't heard anything from Eskom specifically about this. And I think only time will tell whether this then gets to be proved as illegal. But right at this moment, there is no, obviously that this is still a requirement from Eskom's side to register. But yeah, look, if you're still waiting for your applications to be acknowledged by Eskom, I don't know whether it would be advisable for me to say this, but I mean, from AREP's side, we would just recommend that you keep your side clean. So send a single email with your application to the correct contacts. So we did share those contacts at Eskom. They also shared that you can send it to your provincial Eskom office. So make sure that you have submitted your application and then go on with your life. I think. I don't know, Trevor, what do you think? So just make sure that you can prove that you have kept your side clean, and then take it from there and keep an eye on what is happening in with the court case and new developments.
Yes, I would agree totally there. Just cover yourself. If you can show that you've put in the necessary, then at least if and when or if they start with fines or stuff, then at least you've got some proof that you've tried from your side. I think the next two is also for you.
Okay, cool. Debbie, can you do the P4 test without an electrical background? I mean, you can. I've had a look at those questions. I do not have an electrical background, and it would take me a very long time to figure out what they are talking about. So you can, but you do have to have some understanding of the technical aspects that goes into a system. The sales test is the one that that can be done by almost everyone. It is going to take you a little bit of study and understanding of from a technical perspective, because the whole idea is to get the administrative and the sales team to have a basic technical understanding in order to have conversations with clients that are asking them questions that they're unfamiliar with. So you can do the tests. I guess it just suppose on it depends on your what do you call it? Your willingness to study and find out what these answers are. All right, the next one, I just want to ask, especially from AREP, is AREP one of the accreditation bodies approved by CIDB? And if yes, why is AREP not listed as the accreditation body on CIBD website? And why most of private companies or government organizations when looking for suppliers only refer to SAPVIA or Green Card as a requirement, but not considering AREP members. All right. So as I mentioned, neither the PV Green Card nor the P4 program is a formal qualification. It is an accreditation that the industry has accepted voluntarily or willingly. So in terms of this accreditation body, we are also not an accreditation body. We are a non-profit organization that exists for public benefit. So that's probably, I think that's where that's coming from. And then why do the private companies or government organizations refer to SAPVIA? So SAPVIA has put a lot of time and effort and a lot of resources behind making sure that their brand and the PV Green Card is widely recognizable. So it would probably come down to just the recognizability of the name. We do engage regularly with the municipalities. We do engage with all of, like I said, the financiers and the major players in the industry. And where it matters on the ground, AREP is accepted and AREP is sufficient. So I don't know why some organizations choose to only use SAPVIA or the PV Green Card. That's probably their prerogative. But in terms of technically looking at the legality of both accreditations, they're exactly the same. They're both informal, and they both serve the PV industry as a quality assurance measurement. If you ever run into any trouble with someone saying that they don't acknowledge AREP or the P4 or that the accreditation is not up to standard or anything like that, you are so welcome to reach out to us directly. We've had some of these conversations where financiers were unfamiliar with the P4. I think I just said PV Green Card in the previous comment. Sorry, I meant P4. So if there's someone that has mentioned that the P4 they're unfamiliar with that, please reach out to us. We've engaged with many financiers, small financing houses, smaller insurer brokers. We've had lots of these conversations, and we'd be more than willing to help you as a member to smooth over that path as well. If you run into any trouble, please, you're so welcome to reach out to us directly. Okay, we have exactly 3 minutes left, so we're going to do as many questions as we can, but we're going to stick to the time and try to honor everyone's time in that way. Trevor, let's see if we can do 1 or 2 more questions. The next one is, in your opinion, which earthing method is best for a hybrid system?
Great, yeah, that's Lee Naidu. And yes, Lee, if you speak about the hybrid system, I presume you're asking about the bonding, the neutral earth bonding. If you're just speaking about earthing, yes, earthing, all your earths must be bonded together with your main earth, like we said in the previous answer. With a hybrid system, yes, you need to have a neutral earth bond that will be separated in the case where you lose grit. So I hope that answers you. If not, get in touch with me. I can do an explanation. Does anybody have a direct contact for the ECA registration? And anybody have a Department of Labor? Yes, I'm sure Marietta or somebody can help you with it. They should have it. The ECA number would be 011-392-448-0000. Many, again, I have come across where an AC feed from a main DB to the inverter and the load back from the inverter to the DC board is in one 4-core cable. This should not be compliant, surely. Many, about 5 million of the sites that was installed was done like that. Recently, there was a change. I believe they said there was a change in the new 10142 that came out in 2024, where it prohibits you to do that. So you're not allowed to do it anymore. But it was never the case before that. So if the site was done like that, then you cannot make it non-compliant, because at the time it was done, it was compliant. But now with the new code, it says you're not allowed to do it like that. So yes, from anything from that date, last year when 2024, I think it was July when the new code came out, then you had to change it. Great. Sven asks 4C plus E, no, why not? Yeah, Sven, just as I explained now, because the code stipulates it. I haven't read it, but they said to me that it did stipulate it now. They put it in. Armored cable on PV does not work, though. The last AREP mail that went out mentioned that what happens basically, armored cable is rated differently from DC and not rated for the high temperatures. Okay, so you do get, Sean, you do get armored cable that is for DC. So if you put that in, then obviously you can work. Obviously you can't put in armored cable that is not for DC rated. Armored cable, I was referring to specific PD. Okay.
Trevor, I just want to mention
Are we
that
done?
it's 12
Yes.
o'clock. Yes. So
Okay.
do you have another engagement?
Only in half an hour.
Okay, so yeah, I see the questions are quite piling up. Do you know what? Let's end the session here. I will take note of the questions that we did not get to, and I will get back to you, everyone that posted a question. And let's just stick to the hour that we all committed to and make sure we respect each other's time. If you still have a question and you want to ask it, you're welcome to post it in the chat box now. I'll keep the meeting open for a little while to make sure that everyone has time to post their answers or their questions. And then other than that, I want to say a big thank you to you, Trevor, for taking the time to talk to us and calmly explaining all of these technicalities to all of us and having these conversations. I think it's very valuable as an industry to keep having these sessions where we just ask questions and learn from each other. Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Have a wonderful Thursday, and we will have another one of these sessions the first Thursday of next month in May. We're looking forward to that engagement. If you have any questions in the meantime, please reach out to me or to Anne or to Jocelyn or to Carl directly, any one of us on the team. We'd be happy to engage with you and see if we can help you in any way. Have a good week.